Always looking for politics. We call ourselves woke boomers.
It's a unique feel and unique voice. I'm curious, how do you two decide on the topics? And when you bring up your guests, how do you decide on your guests?
Well, we kind of get a lot of offers coming our way now, and there's definitely people that we go after, but we have so many folks that are pitching. You know, when someone has something new that comes out, as you know, they make the rounds, and so we just kind of sort of know what our sweet spots are, and we email each other with our producer Dina, and we say, "Does this sound good?" So, for example, we did not know anything about that Elvis story that you're talking about, and when it was pitched to us, we just said, absolutely, exactly, this is what we want to delve into. So that is what you're referring to, as a book about a woman who researched Elvis's health history and discovered that he wasn't a drug addict because he enjoyed drugs. He was a drug addict because he was trying to feel normal. He was born with disease in 9 out of the 11 systems of the body. And this is why everyone on his mother's side dies in their 40s, including Elvis.
That was a great example of what I was talking about. Louise and I were just flabbergasted. I mean, we've all known a lot about Elvis, especially Louise and I, because we're kind of students of music. But there was so much in there that we didn't realize. And that's a great example of discovering things that you weren't aware of that make the podcast so much fun.
Right. And the book is by Sally Hodel, and it's called Elvis. And I think Destined to Die Young is the title. Mm-hmm. I'm not quite sure on the title, but if you do Sally Hodel, Elvis, you'll find the book.
What do the two of you look for when it comes to interviews? Is there different angles you're both looking to achieve, or how does that happen?
If we find it interesting, we just believe that other folks will find it interesting. So we kind of just gauge it on what fascinates us. You know, we're a pretty good barometer.
Absolutely. So I guess in that way, either collectively, the both of you, or individually, what sort of genres are you looking for in the future?
We're always looking for politics. We call ourselves woke boomers. That's a lane, we'll take it. And we love history. We love biographies. We love documentaries. We're both news junkies. We love TV, especially the TV that is close to people because they grew up with it. We believe firmly that what you loved at 10, you love forever. And so we're happy to we talk to Marty Krofft, and we talk to former child stars, and we talk to folks that this week we talked to Nellie Olson, Allison Arngrim from Little House on the Prairie. So we love talking to those folks and learning what life was like as a child growing up, making the television that other kids were so intrigued by, and of course the music of our era, 60s, 70s, 80s.
We had a great documentary film, two documentary filmmakers on about a month or so ago that made a documentary about Blood, Sweat, and Tears, which was one of the iconic groups of the late 60s and early 70s. They in Chicago were the first bands to use horns in mainstream rock and roll. But there's a great backstory about how Blood, Sweat, and Tears were sort of bamboozled into making a tour behind the Iron Curtain. And they were the first American rock band that had ever been allowed to tour behind the Iron Curtain. And there's hundreds of hours of video of these guys sort of experiencing Romania and all these less than welcoming countries. And that was fantastic because we'd always been fans of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, but this was an aspect of their career we didn't know anything about. That was fantastic. And we had Bobby Collenby, who was the drummer for Blood, Sweat, and Tears in the studio with us. It was really fun.
where do we find you? How often are you broadcasting? Where do we find you? Website, social media? What's the best way to follow and find this show?
Anywhere you type Media Path Podcast, it's gonna come up. So depending on what apps that you have, or just the internet in the browsing window, Media Path Podcast, you'll find our website. The only thing that makes podcasting unique is it's wherever you are. Our podcast is on YouTube, so you at least know how to do YouTube. So just go to YouTube and search Media Path Podcast.